problem is why I don't always trust them is because sometimes they don't come day one. They come like day 3 or day 4 in the market.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to catch them day 1, or probably what might be even better is listings that have been there for a while and nobody's picking them up. And that's when we can come in there. So like this one already says pending.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't a good area for me. That's my zip code that I like.
Mm-hmm.
And click on it. Use a little updating. It looks really good. So this I wouldn't put like high on the priority list for this one, but you'll kind of just like we talked about last time,
Mm-hmm.
where they don't look really pretty. They look like they would have a harder time selling.
Mm-hmm.
Those you'll reach out to the realtors and see if our offer would be even kind of talked about with their sellers. So let's get into MLS. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna give you access to this. Okay. So you'll log in, and this is how your screen will look. It'll say members only area.
Mm-hmm.
So you click there. Then you're gonna hit Access Matrix MLS.
Mm-hmm.
Just hit read these later. So you go to search up there. Single family home. So you'll hit quick single family. And from here, you're gonna go for active.
Mm-hmm.
We're also gonna look at withdrawn, expired, or terminated. So we'll make a CRM for these 3 down here. Okay. That way we'll Google the owner's number,
Mm-hmm.
or white page it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll get their number, and then we'll call them and be like, hey, we noticed your listing was withdrawn. Are you still considering selling your property? Or hey, your listing was expired. Are you looking to still sell your property? Same thing with terminated. All these 3. Withdrawn means that either they decided to not sell it at this time, or somebody like an investor bought it, so they didn't have to sell it on the market. They just sold it behind the scenes. Expired, usually a realtor has like a contract agreement with the sellers saying, hey, it'll take me so many months to sell your house. If it expired, then it'll pop up here. Terminated, same thing, kind of like withdrawn. It could be terminated by the seller. We don't know why exactly, so it's just something we're able to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So price-wise, we'll just leave it kind of open, but ideally we want to stay under 250, unless. Okay. So I'll buy it 2 different ways. I'll buy it under 250 for a rental house to keep it. But we can go up in the numbers. I don't mind the numbers as long as our formula makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the formula is just, let me share it with you actually on your text. Wait.
Sure.
So on the top it says 70% rule. So okay, The ARV, what that means is after repair value. So that means when the house is completely fixed up. The example here has it at $150,000.
Mm-hmm.
So we times that by 70%, which equals 105.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say the repairs needed to fix that house up to make it be worth $150,000 takes $25,000. So you minus it from the 105, and then it gives you an $80,000 range, right?
Mm-hmm.
What we're trying to do is we are trying to buy everything right around that number, the 70% rule.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't always hold true depending on like the location. So if the location's really, really good, I don't mind spending more money. And like if the location's good, schools are good, we can bump that number up to 70% number because a lot of people will be offering that number. So we can go to like 74 or 75% as long as it makes sense financially. So that's a good rule to stay with. Usually you're safe with your investments because if you miss something on the rehab, on the repairs, then you have some wiggle room to make up the difference. Does that formula make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let me plug in my computer here. Let's put a budget of 150 to 500,000. 400. Okay. And square foot. Let's always keep the range like 1,400 minimum. You just hit a plus sign.
Okay.
So 1,400 plus. Minimum beds, 3, and then put a plus sign behind it. And baths, let's go 2 plus. Okay. We're not going to worry too much about the lot size, the year built, the half bath stories, any of that stuff, okay? The thing here, we're just going to punch in the zip codes we're looking at. We're looking at 77089, 77584, 77581, 77. Let me look up Friendswood. Five, 4, 6. Okay. And then we'll add the Webster one. 77598. All right. And we can add 77062. And you can save these searches in here.
Okay.
So that way you don't have to keep punching these in every time. We're not concerned about this, anything in the middle column there. Right now we're not really concerned about this because we're looking at 4 different types of homes. Active, withdrawn, expired, and terminated. Okay. The most important one is the active right now. Let's see if there's anything good. These take a little bit more work, but we got to do it to try to find the deal. Schools, we're not punching anything because it's connected to that zip code. And this, we're not going to worry about any of these down here. The only thing you can filter here, and we talked about it last time, was foreclosure.
Probate.
So you just hit control to highlight these 3.
All right.
A real estate owned means real estate that's owned by the bank. Probate is what we've been dealing with. Foreclosure is same. And you can hit short sale. Okay. Short sale means the bank will take a loss on it to sell it. And that means everybody can see it because it's on this MLS. So there's only one match if I hit all of those. So let's take off all of these things here. It went from like 400 something matches to 1 match. 0 on probate, 0 on foreclosure. Okay. So let's pull up the map now. Okay. Okay, there it is. Okay. So why the computer's acting up, hold on.
Sure.
Let's see. Alright, so it's a lot of data. Okay. So let's just zoom in. So eliminate these right here, okay? We're not gonna buy right now in this area. We're gonna buy everything here, 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 and here. So all this area. So we can take this pen right here, just highlight. And now we got our selection, right?
Mm-hmm.
We go to let's just zoom in. All the green means active.
Okay.
Okay. Black means terminated, I think. Let's see. Yeah, black is terminated. This purple is withdrawn listings. So withdrawn, okay. So we will inquire why they're withdrawn. If they look like houses, we can pick up, you know. This might be too pretty, way too pretty for us. So it might not be worth the time to spend on it, you know.
Right.
And so okay, green is active, black and purple. So let's just focus on the green one. And let's do something like that. Let's filter this criteria. And now let's narrow down this range. $250,000. And it goes down to 19 results. So cheaper it is. I mean, it's telling me that if there was that many, there was 400 houses or whatever there were initially. Now it brings it down to 19. Maybe these 19 houses need a lot more work, right?
Right.
It could be appropriate for us. Let's just look at this one right here. All right, so we can see days on market. That's something we want to look at. 6. So it's very recent, that listing.
Right.
Year built, 1983, which is good. So anything above like 1975 is pretty good. Square footage, it's in our criteria, right? Lot size is fine. Scroll down. So right here is the agent.
Okay.
That's their phone number. And then the provided email. So you're always going to get that information on any of these listings on the MLS.
So it's like instead of me calling the owner, I can go ahead and call the agent. Is that correct?
If it's active, yeah. When it's active, you just call the agent. When they're terminated or withdrawn, then we call the direct seller.
Okay.
So, it's a unique opportunity for those with a vision. So that tells me that there's going to need some work in the house. With a little tender, loving care, this home has a promise to shine once again. So it's basically made for an investor based on what they're saying.
Right.
Okay. When it says no FHA or VA loans, that definitely tells me that the house probably needs some work. Okay. Because to get qualified for these two types of loans, they're very, very picky, the lenders. So when they're very picky, sellers don't want to deal with them because they know they have a lot of problems on hand. Let's look at the pictures. All right. They don't look too bad. They don't look bad at all.
It's actually quite nice.
Yeah. It's valued at $215. So we would have to run the comps in this area to see if 137 a square foot, because that's what we're looking at. We're looking at list price per square foot. At 137, is that high, reasonable, low? You can always see the property archive. It'll tell you. So this house was sold in 2018 for 180, and now they put it back on the market a couple years later, which is not a big increase in price. So there might be something more to the house. So let's just say, okay, we like this house, okay, for instance. Now we want to run the comps on it, okay? So you go to search again. Actually, you know what? You just go there. Now we are looking at this one, right?
Yes.
So let's clear the shape out. Let's zoom in here. So there's a, grab this recenter thing, okay? Oops, sorry. You grab this to draw the radius. So you put it right over the house. And you just hold the mouse down. And we're gonna go out a mile.
Okay.
And we're gonna switch this. The option pending, and sold, okay? And we'll do sold in the last, always we'll look at last 120 days. I see here that that number didn't change, so nothing's been selling in that area, or nothing's been on the market. So let's take our shape, delete it, and make it a little bit wider. Let's go out this far. Okay, perfect. So now we have a comp. We have these two houses that are pending in that area. So this one is showing 229. So you look at this house condition. So the pool needs to be redone. The interior needs to be redone. Yeah. You can tell the house is like neglected a little bit.
Right.
So this would have been a nice one for us to buy, but you see how it's been on the market for 4 days, and somebody's already put an offer on it, right? Pending means that somebody has an offer on the property. So we want to catch them on day one and just put an offer out to them on day one. And the list price at this number per square foot is 116, which is way cheaper than the one we're looking at, right? It was 137. So let's look at the other one. Okay. So right off, let's see if it's a similar kind of house. Well, kitchen is fine. And we saw this house the other day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it really doesn't need much. But it's a good rental home. So we look at their numbers, they're 168. That's a big difference, right?
Yep.
So maybe this house isn't a bad deal. The tricky thing is though, like when there's no comp right in that area, when you cross these major roads, like this one says Dixie Farm,
Mm-hmm.
and this one says Edgewood, like I know these are two major roads, so the subdivision is different.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the best version of a comp because we're kind of going outside of that little subdivision area. But it still gives us a good indication. So this one at 215. It's not bad. Okay. So any questions about how to get the comp, kind of?
No, none so far.
All right. So now we have these three houses, right?
Mm-hmm.
In our comps. Let's say we want to expand it. Anything else? All right. So now we got some more that popped up there. You see those?
Yeah.
Okay. And now what you run to do, you look at the results. So it's going to list, you hit agent single line display,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll show you those houses within that green circle,
Mm-hmm.
or within our circle, okay? You can just filter through here. You can click this one. You'll see all the pictures. Okay, here's the next one. Okay, is that a similar house? Okay, hit the next one. Does that kind of look like the house that we're looking at?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll do the next one. And you kind of just read the restrictions. You just take, 3-4 minutes on each house. Look at each one, kind of see, do they meet our criteria? Are they similar to the house that we're looking at?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if they're similar, then they're considered a comp.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because we're trying to get a rough idea of how much that house should be worth. Okay. So this house sold for 117. I'm curious why this one sold for so little. Oh, you see, it was on the market for 1 day on the market. And somebody bought it in 1 day. Because that's a steal. Like that's
Yes.
117 is really, really low in this area. Yeah. So, yeah, they actually ended up selling it down here for
Mm-hmm.
119. So somebody offered them a little bit more money, and they made a deal. So, all right, let's say all these 6 houses are great comps, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we go back to the screen. We click the houses. All the houses are great comps, so we click them all.
Mm-hmm.
And you go down to quick CMA.
Mm-hmm.
Click it, and it'll generate a report for you.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So these are the active, option pending, and then pending, and then the very last ones are always the sold ones. So there's 2 houses that have been sold. These option pending and pending, we don't know specifically what they're being sold for. We got a rough idea by what they're asking, but we don't know if that's what they're going to get. And then active, that's somebody else that we have no idea what it's going to sell for.
Mm-hmm.
So these things right here says BR bedroom, full bath, half bath, garage, the square footage, the year built, the lot size. The one we're looking at is the listing price per square foot,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's going to be sold price per square foot.
Mm-hmm.
So we go down, we scroll down. Okay. So we look at these sold ones now. So the sold price here, you can see the listing price. So they're originally asking for 230. They ended up selling for 215, which equals 100 square foot.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can see the minimum the max, the average in this area. This one specifically sold for 126, and this one sold for 119. So we should be somewhere in between that,
Okay.
or kind of in that ballpark, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they're really good comps. But we're saying, yeah, okay, they're all very similar, like, you know, in the nature of how they look and present. Okay, so that generates your comps right there. And on the very bottom page, it'll give you the quick statistics. So list price 187, sold price, the lowest one sold was 215, the highest one was sold for 248, and then where is it at? Sold price per square foot, min and max. Okay, make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's running your comps. It takes a little time getting used to it. I don't expect you to get in day one, but I'll give you the login information for the MLS, so you can kind of go over this today. Spend another hour or so just
Sure.
going over, playing with this website, getting familiar with it. And so our save, our information and save there, so it'll revert back. So in area, let's see right here. Look, these are a lot of sold houses right there, which is a good thing for us, as it gives you a lot of comps, right? So if we want to know what this house is worth, click on it, we'll look at it really quickly. Okay. Alright, that'll be really nice. Update the shower, you know. I'm gonna run through it really quickly because our meeting's about to end. So we go back to the map. All right, we're looking at this house right there. Let's get this rectangle. Let's draw a line right there. Like, I know this area, so houses are all worth right around the same number. Because it's one big subdivision here. Even though it's crossing these big roads, I know I told you that, but in this area, they're all worth the same.
Okay.
So then I click the results. Let's see, all the singles. Okay, we got houses. The active houses are first, pending are second, and all the sold houses are here. So we've seen some sold houses for 170, and we're seeing some sold houses for 242. Second page, sold houses. Here's some withdrawn, expired, and terminated listings on the back end. So you can pull it up this way if you want. And those people we can contact. But the highest valued home was 250.
250.
So let's just say we thought all these are great comps, right? So we go back to page 1. Let's click every single home. Usually that's not the case, because most homes are not all equal, like condition-wise. And then if somebody has like a really big yard, it's probably not going to be the same value as somebody with like a really tiny yard, like a 5,000 square foot lot. But I'll adjust that number basically, okay? So let's say we like them all. We already highlighted the right area, right? We're in the right area. Under the results, we looked at all the houses. We clicked the ones that we thought are good comps. So now, where do we go? We go down to quick CMA. It'll generate the report for us. It'll let us know, okay, there's one active house selling for 116. Okay, let's see what the sold market showed us. Sold homes. Sold price per square foot. Let's look at it. The minimum was $83 a square foot. The max was 165, and it's averaging the one. So we can always eliminate this very high number on our comps, because that means the house is probably like really well done up.
Right.
And we can probably eliminate some of these low numbers but it gives us an idea. The sold price per square foot for the minimum and average right there. So if we're looking at this house, it's sitting right at average. So either it's priced too high. Let's say if it's in bad condition, it's priced too high, or it might be something we can look at, right? So it's going to take you playing with this a little bit to kind of just gauge your feel for it and just hit different comps and just try to learn this area. So when